What must, of course, be proven to avoid undue restrictions is what? Okay, so in this one, we have member nations favored laws governing the quality of emissions, whether or not specific areas could be shown to have been affected by a particular effluent. So what they're saying is they wanted to have these emissions restricted or have laws governing the quality of emissions, whether or not a particular thing has been emitted in a particular area. So what must be proven to avoid undue restrictions? Undue restrictions would be having any restriction that affects something that doesn't need to be affected. Okay, that's what makes it undue or unnecessary. So we need something that somehow says that the laws only go where they're supposed to be, or the laws only apply to things that it needs to. Because if they apply to things that it doesn't need to, then the restrictions are undue. So A, any uniform international regulations adopted at this conference will probably be put on a fast track for approval in members' legislatures. That's nothing you need to prove, and it certainly doesn't avoid undue restrictions. Would they have to prove B, any substance made subject to these regulations actually causes environmental harm? This is a great example of something that they would want to prove to avoid undue restrictions. If they restrict a substance that does not cause environmental harm, they have imposed undue restrictions. If you won't be able to nod because you're not in front of me and you'll be hearing this later. But anytime you apply a rule to something that it doesn't need to be applied to, that's an undue restriction. And so they need to prove that any substance that they make laws about is actually something that's bad. So choice B is our thing that they would need to prove.